24 poems, 3 of them from the book. And one thing about calling your book The Flood is that your friend calls you every month, like bitching at you and going, your fucking book arrived again. So that's what I've been getting for the past year. This first piece is called, I'll get the depressing one out of the way. In a few days, I'll be 31. It was 10 years ago, all right? I can't keep changing the title every year. In a few days, I'll be 41. My hands were once beautiful. I used to thank God for my hands and for my eyes. Not the actual eyes, because they're very small and not beautiful at all. I mean my eyes, like my eyesight. I've just had another breakdown, and I look at my hands tonight, after I have finished wiping away all the stupid girlish crime from my face and gotten off the carpet with cracker crumbs stuck in my back. I was once going to be a father. She told me about the pregnancy in my car. We were parked somewhere in West LA during her lunch break, and she told me, crying, as I chewed on a hamburger with my seat reclined. And when we decided to get rid of it, we were standing outside a small house near La Cienega, and she pushed my hand off her and said, "You're not going to stick around anyway," and she walked away from me. It's weird. We knew the baby was going to be a girl, and I can't remember the name we had set on giving our daughter. It made us so happy once to say her name. Now I can't remember it. I am looking at my hands, and they're still covered in the blood of the nameless girl. I thought by now I have washed them completely. In a few days, I will be 31 years old. I'll be older than my parents ever imagined their youngest son to be. My child would have been 4, I think, 3 or 4. She would have been old enough to talk to, and she would have sat on my chest, laughing, pulling at my beard, the way I used to with my father. On my chest, while I lay on the carpet, with now blurry eyes, telling myself to breathe. And I would have touched her with my once beautiful hands, telling her that I am old enough now to know that you lose your life one good thing at a time. Fabric. 2 weeks away from marriage. I'm standing in front of the mirror, wearing nothing but her black panties, as if this is how I can carry her with me, while she's in Charlotte, eating pulled pork, waving goodbye to her old swimming pool, to the girls in love with pale guys in glasses, to her pink room with the slanted ceiling. When I was 4, there was a vanity in my mother's room, and I found her bras, and I thought the cups were perfectly shaped to cover my ass cheeks. And that day, I started putting everything on my skin: chocolate, silk, hands, blood, shit, corpses, prayers, dirt. My body looks ridiculous like this. The bit of shiny fabric over my dick, making the rest of me look undone. My flesh unfinished. I liked it much more, darkened on the streets of Paraguay, shirtless and brown, feet bare. But all that is temporary when we hold our curses dear until the end. My yellow skin, the empty pages that never stop. This is the dawn. I nudge her awake. It's not even 6, but I want her to see this orange sun hanging outside our window. That's amazing, she says. I keep waking her up. A couple of hours ago, I woke her up when I heard our downstairs neighbor moaning. Listen, I said, someone else in this building's getting fucked. We're just lying here, The alarm is still set to go off in a little over an hour. The orange sky and the orange sun over Brooklyn becomes the point where I can begin. She has fallen back asleep. Her hand rests on my chest for a few beats. Then she rolls over, her back to me, her back to the windows, because her body remembers that the light will be unbearable when it comes. I turn too and look at her back and remember those words I lost in the skin of her neck when I first leaned in close enough to smell the drying sweat. I roll back over, trying to imagine what my lips look like as they move under the orange light, then lie as still as I can on my back, my eyes shut tight, one finger of my left hand hooking the elastic of her panties, and I wait for the sounds of the living below to rise up and fill us again. This is Valentine's Day. I'll be reading a short iPhone-sized Valentine's Day poem. I have a few copies of my book. It will help me fill up gas and drive back to LA. So please purchase. Anal sex. What sucks most about sticking your finger in a girl's ass is the shit that gets buried under your fingernail. It's hard to clean it out with the tissue, and neither of you really want to acknowledge it. So you keep it there for the day, lifting it to your nose for a quick fix, to your tongue for a taste of this remnant of love. Happy Valentine's Day.